And now we're live. Sorry about that. So, Kaboom is banning first. PD will then ban. Kaboom bans Skaven. PD to ban. Oh, sorry about that. So excavation site's the first map. Should always makes for some interesting play. Interested to see what PD bans here. PD bans Lizardman. Okay, we'll get Kaboom to pick his faction then, and we'll start to be able to look into the army compositions for the first battle. Kaboom kits greenskins. Not surprised, it's definitely one of the factions he's more comfortable with. Yeah, I'm sure that's not going to be an issue. I'm sure it's going to change. There we go. PD's playing Vampire Coast. This should be interesting. So I will just take a look at the builds as they're doing it for you. Not sure PD's particularly fond of fighting. Sorry, Kaboom's not fond of fighting PD's Vampire Coast by the response there. Oh no, we've had a change already. Looks like we could be having Grom the Paunch against Count Noctilus. Should make for an interesting battle. Looks to me like these are all going to be fanatics. No, just standard. But fanatic infantry, a bit of Night Goblin support, orcs, looking like a fairly traditional but effective orc army. And we could be seeing a bloated corpse in the first battle of this game. And he does have the ranged units for the flying units that he's bound to expect. And archers are often, especially goblin archers, more effective against coast than they are against most factions. They've got a lot of zombies, a lot of light armour, a lot of flyers. Definitely worthwhile bringing a fairly large Dakar line. But that is only half of Kaboom's army. He's still got about 5,000 funnels left there. Do let me know in the live chat if there's any sound issues. I know there was a few with the last video. I have turned down the main volume, but if it causes any problems, I can do it again. Yeah, I'm not surprised to see PD playing Vampire Coast as his first faction, especially with Kaboom banning Skaven. Definitely one of his stronger ones, and Kaboom going straight in with his greenskins. I believe they're flappers, which could make for interesting, because there's quite a lot of trees on this map. Not huge quantities, but it also lets him close the gap, and it's nice to see the standard goblins being brought since the 50 price decrease to the last update. And a full 20 unit army from Kaboom. It's nice to see in the first battle. We're getting two rather substantial armies, and both are sticking well within tournament rules, which is good. I will let players know when they exceed it so that we don't have any problems. Like a fairly standard Vampire Coast army from PD. Noctilus has not brought Smoke and Mirrors that I can see. So we will not have... Oh, nor has he brought a Necrofex. Okay, and we have the finalised armies. We'll get into this first game for you. Now, PD is the far more experienced player here, but I do like Kaboom's army. I think he's done a lot of good decisions there. Plenty of poison damage to not so much neutralise the regeneration, but certainly to take the edge off. For anyone watching that is not familiar with the mod, the poison deals the damage over time, and regeneration, well, it's not actually the vanilla regeneration, it's called the Dead Rise. There's a resurrecting and regeneration of hit points ability for all undead, aside from constructs who receive it from the restore. Though things like Deathguard, Blood Knights, etc., they all get the hunger, the vampires, rather than the Dead Rise, because they're classed as living. Really, they're an unliving unit, but they're not an undead one. Yeah, that is a point that someone's made in the live chat. I believe Iridium. Lack of killing power in Kaboom's army to kill fast enough. To an extent, though, I do like the trolls and the flappers for that. If you can get the flappers behind PD, it could be very interesting. And it's not like they lack the speed. I believe they're clocking at about 120. Yeah. Surprised actually with the technique going that he hasn't used gigantic spiders, but he is a fan of pump wagons. He often does quite well with them. Of course, lots of this is vanguardable. Whether we'll actually see it, I'm not sure. How is the in-game volume balance for you guys? Mike's a tad low. Okay. What we'll do is I'll drop the in-game ever so slightly so that it can be turned up on the streams without deafening you, and I'll speak a little louder. Yeah, I can't actually turn it up any higher than it already is on OBS. It's at max volume, but I have taken off my my interference furry thing on my mic, so hopefully you might get a little bit more background noise, but it should come through a touch clearer. It's looking like PD's going for that U shape to try and funnel the orcs into the centre. But he's facing a very wide orc build, so it might actually come back to bite him. It's normally quite a good idea to try and funnel your enemies into that, but if Kaboom does this right and really punishes the flanks, I'm not sure that that is the right call. We'll see. That Rotten Leviathan is definitely going to be one of the keys to this battle, along with Noctilus. What spells has he brought? We'll have a look. So he does have the ability to do the summons, which are going to be important. He's got double summon. His spell from above, Wind of Death, Invocation of Nehek, Mystifying Miasma, and the Withering. So he's got a nice set of spells there. Noctilus and the Crab I'm expecting to cause some real havoc. And the deck droppers. If PD can shut down the range play relatively swiftly, then the deck droppers are going to be very difficult. And it's all very compact. Not quite sure what the plan is by Kaboom here. He may still be setting up. It looks like he's gradually moving his army over to this right flank. Possibly to maybe he wants the trees. He's expecting monstrous infantry. It is light in monstrous infantry compared to what you normally expect from the coast. But no one appears to be using this, which admittedly does often come back to bite you. It's a definite risk unless you've got an insanely bone breakers, gorgons, that sort of thing. They're useful there, but aside from that, mortar is definitely going to be useful. And for anyone who hasn't seen it in game yet, the mortars do have a fixed timer now, so the mortar shell will hit the ground, bounce, stay on the ground until its fuse is done, and then blow up using shrapnel to kill rather than the explosion. So it won't read amazingly on the card 112, because that's really the damage from the ball hitting the unit, which can, in fairness, do quite a bit. But it does mean that when it's used at the extent of its 600 range, which is right back here. So it'll be looking about sort of this area at being an airburst right in front. That's really the sweet spot for a mortar, but nearer it can stay on the ground and really give attacks on the opposition's micro that can be really useful. But yes, against all these lightly armoured goblins at 5 armour, it's going to be nice, but it's going to be much worse against the normal goblins because the shields will have an impact on the shrapnel, and they've got 45 armour, so they'll be a lot more effective than it at dealing with that than the other ones. But we also have a vanguard of night goblins, both archers and melee, which should be very interesting because that mortar does not have any support whatsoever. PD has finalised his army. Kaboom just taking a little bit longer. But should be very interesting game from these setups. Looking forward to this one. And these are forest goblin archers, so they do have stalk. So PD won't be aware of a good chunk of Kaboom's army. Flappers have moved. Ah, okay, so they're coming on the right flank, yeah. To be expected, really. Oh, and the Night Goblin archers I haven't seen, and I've got everything marked, so whether PD will notice them, I've no idea. Fanatics and Night Goblin archers both deployed on the far right. PD looking like he's going to play this very defensively, and we are getting a little bit of lag, unfortunately, but nothing that can be done to solve that. Interesting choice of the pistols on the flank there. If the trolls and the flappers all come down this right flank like they're looking like they're set up for, aside from obviously this troll here, but if these units all come down this flank, PD's going to have to swing his entire army to deal with it. So this is going to be an interesting game. Doesn't look like they'll be long setting up. This has been a long deployment phase, I'm afraid, but hopefully that'll just make the battle more anticipated. The bloaty boy hidden from my view as well as the enemies, and both are ready, and we're going into the first battle. Expect they'll take a moment to assess. Mortars ready and firing very far off, but then being a zombie doesn't make you the best marksman ever. And if we take a look at this, so they are going to land and then explode after, and you can hear hopefully all the shrapnel flying through. Oh, and a lovely volley into those goblins. Though, as I said, the power of it will be limited by the small size of the goblins and the shields and so on. But even so, plenty of goblins falling already. Handgun black spot surprisingly getting volleys off, but probably would have been better not shooting yet and waiting for them to come over the brow of that hill, because they're not going to reload for some time, aren't the ones that got shot off. Noctilus going forwards. I suspect he's going to tie up some enemies. We do have a complete slaughter by the bloaty boy. It's a shame I missed that. I only heard it slightly too late, because one entire set of goblins has been routed off by the bloaty boy. Yeah, and Kaboom has come in from the right flank. This is going to be a challenging battle for PD. He does have the experience to deal with it, but I think Kaboom's in a better position so far. That Rotten Leviathan is going to be the deciding factor though. I've no doubt about that. Kaboom halfway to his first war. Forest Goblin Archers hopefully shooting at the black spot if he's in control of them, so they are shooting at the black spot. It was either that or the deck droppers to get maximum usefulness. And the Scurvy Dogs heading in the back of the Forest Goblin Archers. That is going to make a big difference to the game. Scurvy Dogs flanking, Flappers flanking, and Goblins coming in at once. This is going to be a micromanagement big task for both players. Forest Goblin Archers getting absolutely slaughtered. That's 50 kills for the Scurvy Dogs already. Flappers unfortunately getting a bit bound together and getting shot by the deck droppers there. Really could do with hitting two separate targets, one coming into the back. Oh, and a Wind of Death starting to wind up. If this isn't seen, this will be a big swing factor to the game. Drum the Paunch getting his Noctilus's ability down on top of him, but he has managed to dodge the Wind of Death, and it has been cancelled. I believe the Melkoth Mystifying Miasma on those Spear Boys, giving them less attack, is the way it's been cancelled. Trolls causing problems on the left flank, but the pistol is well suited to dealing with them. The right flank is slowly getting overwhelmed, but these Scurvy Dogs are really putting the work in. 170 kills already. Definitely, so far, the MVP for the coast. Flappers out of combat. Well, I don't believe there should be. And a miscast goes down on Count Noctilus, clearing the space around him. Pirate gunnery mob pointing the correct way, but getting stuck on some goblins. There are some recovered goblins that Kaboom doesn't seem to have noticed yet, but this is still anyone's game, I think, at this point. I don't think anyone's managed to take a huge advantage over the other. The mortar's been shut down. With not huge amounts, 31 kills. Add to that the damage it's done. He's done a significant amount. But been shut down before it's really managed to come into its own. The Scurvy Dogs, though, 226 kills. Definitely the most powerful thing on the field so far, which is not something you hear often about a Hound unit. I am surprised it hasn't gone after some of the stragglers, but then I suppose he doesn't know about the archers. The fatigue is starting to make this more favourable for the Counts. Sorry, for the coast, but they are losing a fair few troops. Oh, Night Goblin archers again. Taking that damage from the Scurvy Dogs, but the second war has just been procced. Goblins coming back from routing into the back of the pirate gunnery mob. That's really going to start putting the hurt on. 1920, yeah, the kills are rising very quickly because they don't get effective regeneration against poisons. Grom the Paunch, though, taking the full brunt of these deck droppers. Not much ammo left on those, though. Noctilus, I have lost track of. Yeah, he's full health, is Count Noctilus at this point, and has used 2,500 of his regeneration, so he has taken a significant chunk of damage. Scurvy Dogs coming into the back of the Orc boys. I'm doing significant damage. They really have been putting the work in this game. Only got 20 attack and 22 weapon strength, but that they really do have staying power. A brilliant screening unit. And against goblins, you don't need massive weapon strength. This is starting to swing in the way of the coast rather. Grom the Paunch going for Count Noctilus, but it looks like the chain route has begun. Terror routing and chain routing together only got the Forest Goblin archers off Kaboom, and he has had to give them an attack order because he no longer has more than 4 troops under his control. And that's game. In all ways but official. There we are. Well played to PD and Kaboom there. Let's have a look at these stats. Yeah, plenty of kills by the Orcs. The archers a little bit too vulnerable there. The bloated corpse with 113 kills is not something you see every day. Scurvy Dogs 351, definitely not your orthodox vampire at play, but a very interesting battle. Well played to both players. PD to ban as we go into the second round. And for anyone who doesn't already know, the tournament is going to be set up so that the first round, second round, etc., they're best of 3s. Then there will be a third place playoff, which will also be a best of 3, and finally a best of 5 in the final. Yeah, PD seems impressed by his own doggos as well, and rightly so. 342 kills, as I recall. Probably the most important part of his army, and it only cost 350. Tomb King's been banned. We all know what this means. When PD, the Power Dragon, bans Tomb Kings, that means the Skaven are coming. And you can't reban the same faction. So, PD has banned Tomb Kings. Definitely the Skaven's biggest weakness. Tomb Kings. Kaboom very much not wanting to fight BD Skaven, and rightly so. It's definitely his best faction. Ban Vampire Coast. Okay. PD's picked Skaven, no surprises there. And then Kaboom. I'm not sure what to expect from Kaboom. I mostly see him play greenskins. The Vampire counts. Strong counter pick. The Skaven are not fond of fighting anything that's already dead. Lots of fear factor. And Kaboom likely going with Manfred von Carstein. PD is not fond of Manfred von Carstein. Though in a tournament situation I doubt it'll work as well as it does in the friendly games we have. Yeah, Manfred von Carstein making an appearance. And Deathmaster Snickich. Always makes for interesting gameplay to Snickich. Plague Priest. So far with all spells, as far as I can tell. Yeah, all spells and a bounce spell on a Plague Furnace. Double What Jezzael, Icky Zap Zap. Makes Manfred coming on a dragon less useful, but he hasn't. He has come possibly even on foot. It could be on a horse, it's difficult to tell. Invocation of Nehek, summoning the Hunger. White King. Just as... Oh, White King's been cut. Oh, it's been put on a horse. Necromancer. Mounted on what appears to be a horse with all the spells. No death magic at all for Manfred von Carstein. Interesting. Often a useful aspect of Manfred, being able to bring those spells. He has brought his unique item. And PD is going with a very Skaven slave army. Should be interesting to see whether if Kaboom brings zombies and skeletons, that will work very well. If he goes Graveguard, that's a core. And double Blood Knight. My God, that's not something you see every day. Nah, he's cut. No, he's back. He can't decide on the Blood Knights. He knows he wants cavalry. Crypt Horror's an interesting pick against the Skaven. Getting the poison in with the high weapon damage. Bit of AP. Should do well with any Storm Vermin, but there won't be much Storm Vermin. Only the 2. And a very zombie army. This is going to be a very fast and bloody game. Zombies coming in with 55 attack, 10 defense. Skaven slaves, 55 attack, 9 defense on the spearmen, and a couple of have been cut. I think some disappointment that there was not double Blood Knights from Ragnar then. But you had 2. Blood Knight, but actually a Graveguard core is going to be a very interesting thing. I would like to see a little bit more cavalry in this army. Maybe some Black Lancers, Blood Knights even. Appease the masses that way as well. Or Fellbats. Very cheap for what they do. And there will be a nice vengeance factor to bring in dire wolves to fight PD here. PD's army does not have many good answers. Ooh! He's switched to a Hellpit Abomination now, but he doesn't have many good answers to direwolves, or even the dire pack. The dire pack's gone down recently in updates to excuse me, to be a bit cheaper. I think will be a very good pick in this fight. We'll have a look at PD's finalised army before the battle. Yeah, the usual Esching contingent, which anyone who's seen my last video will recognise, of the single gutter runner, double knight runner. Some plague monks, getting that poison to get rid of that regen. Clanrat spears, there's no point bringing many shields in this particular fight, there's no ranged. And then the fastest Clanrats, just with the sword. And we've ended up with triple Crypt Horror, now that I didn't see coming. And of course, with all the with the double summoner on the field, there's going to be a lot of revenants. Oh, I've left it as the same map. Oh dear. Oh well. It's not a map that has any particular biases towards different factions or to one side or the other, so I'm not concerned about it being the same one. If anything, it'll give them an interesting battle with it being familiar. I will mention. Manfred is on a horse, and so is the Necromancer, yeah. That was what I thought it was. Plague Priest on the Plague Furnace. Pity we're not going to hear the lovely Skaven bells, but that Hellpit Abomination really is a disgusting beast. Great to see. It'll be interesting to see how the players will deal with doing the same map again. Whether they'll try and mix things up or repeat what happened last time. There's an extra psychological side of it of trying to make the player think you can do something different or stick to what they know because they knew they couldn't beat it last time, and it does add the dynamic, so it's not a concern. And of course, if PD does win this one, he wins his best of 3. And as the Skaven, well within the realms of possibility. The balance of power not liking the counts, but then it never does like the counts. A lot of their units aren't on the field yet, though the same's true of the Skaven, but even more, a much greater proportion of Kaboom's force, because he does have double summoner. And a rear of Crypt Horrors, really looking rather good. With the light coming across the backs there like that. Grave Spear Guards. Interesting choice against the Skaven. Would have been very good if they bought Bone Breakers, but of course we know that. We know he hasn't, but Kaboom doesn't. Clan Rat front line. Clan Rat Spears in the centre. Skaven Slaves out on the flank sensibly. For anyone who doesn't play the mod very often, the Skaven Slaves, of course, are an aggressive unit in this, rather than a chaff that's purely there to soak up damage. They're not very good at soaking up damage because of their low morale. Sure, they'll take some hits, and you don't care if you lose them. But there's something about 200 ravenous rats that tends to make things not live that long. Even rat teeth struggle with metal, so the armour factor is a big one, but he doesn't look like Kaboom's brought a very armoured army. He's got a front line completely of zombies. But they too, unlike the base game, have a very aggressive stat line, so they're going to be it's going to be an incredibly interesting battle, I think, this. Eshin at the front, that's rare to see from PD. Normally you see him use it on the flanks. Especially with the trees. I am surprised he hasn't moved this contingent slightly over to that side to get the 40% slow from the trees mixed with the 50% slow from the gutter runners, just completely stopping the advance of undead cavalry. Then, if he did that, he could move his walk grinders over to the flank and net the entire area, and have both flanks covered from the cavalry, and the centre with this Hellpit Abomination and his caster stopping the cavalry there. At the moment, I am expecting the flanks to struggle a little more than they ought. Aha! PD's come to the same conclusion. And that sound means that Kaboom has readied up. And we are go. Instant moving in from... Oh, it's Ikit Zap Zap. That's the unit that PD had cut from his army. Without my notice. I knew there was one. With Manfred not coming on his dragon, it's less useful. If he was on a dragon, then that ability to recharge it could add would be incredibly useful. But with him being on horse, he's unlikely to hit, especially on undulating terrain like this. Zombies and clan rats getting straight stuck into each other. It's going to be very bloody, very fast. And a summon from, I think, PD, judging from positioning, but it could be either. Crypt Horrors, they're back to the enemy. They've always been pulled back away from the Hell Pit Abomination. And it was indeed a Plague Monk cast. Skaven Slaves and Zombies. Looking forward to this particular fight. Zombies, of course, having the massive health pool by comparison, so although the Skaven Slaves will do a lot of damage, they're going to bite the dust to a great extent. Afraid we are getting a little bit of slowdown. A fair chunk. Yeah, no health bars. You can see from the model counts and the positioning far more interesting things than you can from the clutter of the health, I find. Both when watching and when playing. It's a pity these Black Knights aren't getting around that angle. They could do a lot of damage there. Surprised to see Seismic Snare being used so early. No, it could just be Walk Quake. Not quite sure what the goal is there. Oh, unless Manfred's present. No, I have actually lost track of Manfred. Oh. He's marked here. Yes, there he is with the Hell Pit Abomination. Not a bad use of Manfred, by any means. The Revenants struggling with their very low morale. And the Necromancer being gooned out by the double assassin, one of which is Snicketch. And Snicketch has been pushed back by the Black Knights. That may go badly for the leader of Clan Eshin. Black Knights here still not really doing much and taking 3 damage. Oh, the missile resist will help, but the shields aren't currently. Ah, they've turned. Obsoleted what I said as soon as I said it. Oh, and the Crypt Horrors have just crumbled out of existence. Polak Storm Vermin really bringing the hurt here. Zombies and Grave Spear Guards really struggling against the complete onslaught of the Skaven. Deathmaster Snicketch whirling his blades around and really bringing down a fair few Black Knights. Necromancer still trying to escape the standard assassin. Curse of Years is going to help that slightly. If Kaboom can get a few more summons into this, he stands a good chance. If he does not get his summons off soon, I think he will be looking at game over. The Polak Storm Vermin are going down to the Crypt Horrors, no surprises there. Exactly what the prediction was for what the Crypt Horrors will be useful for. And it's a Skaven summon, that may be game. I don't know what's happening with the Winds of Magic for the Undead, but there has not been many spells being cast. And that is a Walk Quake dealing damage to all these troops, and there's not massive HP pools on a lot of the Undead compared to the living. So that is quite an effective thing. Manfred on cast 9, it must be a Manfred cast this time. If you can get a miscast in, it'll be particularly useful as he's blobbed around here. And it's not, it's another Skaven summon! Where are the Revenants? If Manfred can get a big cast off, and it's a Bless with Filth. Aha, that will be a Revenant summon. The micromanagement that's going into keeping this Necromancer alive may be costing Kaboom heavily. It's taking so much player control just to keep it alive that I'm not even sure it was worth keeping alive by that level of micro. Because it's not actually getting its money worth, it's just living. Okay, now there's a cast off. He stopped moving to cast, which I think was a mistake. Oh no, didn't have the choice. The Revenants have arrived and pretty much gone. They're crumbling already. They got no kills. And I think the writing's on the wall. Snicketch. And a miscast straight afterwards. The Clan Rats really taking the punishment from the Necromancer. That was a nice play. Pity Manfred hasn't been able to do the same, because a miscast in that blob would make a huge difference to this. Black Knights fighting Eshin on the flank. Their health bar staying so stationary here that I can't actually see it move. The Necromancer is down. Manfred von Carstein, one of the only units left. The Black Knights are fulfilling the attack requirement, but as soon as they go down, he is going to have to charge. He's getting the Revenants in to fulfill it. And that's wiped. Reminding Kaboom that he does have to... his Revenants have fulfilled it, yeah. No surprises there, but they are not going to last long. They've been spawned crumbling. A spectacular HP drop rate there.
Another time.
And the disintegrated, which means Manfred must attack. There's a few seconds. Leeway. The decision's been taken away from him. Oops. And Manfred von Carstein and Deathmaster Snickich with his assassin apprentice is going to be the deciding factor of the end here. Of course, Kaboom can't cycle charge in this engagement. He has tried to get a summon off rather sensibly as a last-ditch attempt, but that is game, and PD is into the second round. Well played to both players. 211 kills on zombies. Impressive. But the clan rats proving just too much. And I am surprised we saw as few summons as we did from the undead. It is a shame, but well played by PD. Definitely will have got into Kaboom's head slightly with PD playing Skaven. There is a fear factor to that for a lot of players. yet to lose as a Skaven in a tournament. Which means Iridium and Pajadtron will be joining. I am gonna do that to speed things up. And if we can get Iridium invited and Pajadtron. They'll both be aware that we are ready for them. And Blue Ridge River will be the next map. And while we're waiting for those two players, I will just take a quick break to grab some water. And we're back. So Iridium will be banning first. It'll be interesting to see what decisions are made here. Iridium bans the dwarves, no huge surprises there. Oh. I think he's already regretted that decision. Can he swap ban? I'll let him this time. Tomb King ban. We could be seeing Skaven from Iridium. Okay. In that case, Pajad is to ban. Pajad bans High Elves. Interesting. So Pajad's banned Iridium's High Elves. So Iridium's pick. It's interesting to see what Iridium picks here. Iridium's picked dwarves. Oh, that's what happened. He realised he was going to pick first. I'm surprised to see that. That is a very interesting thing to see. And I think Pajad may have been intending to play the dwarves. Because the dwarves often don't like Wars of the Beard. Pajad picks Chaos. Looks like he may have gone with the Decadent Host. Doesn't look like Iridium has had much chance to play since the Decadent Hosts were introduced. So I will just give him a warning that it has access to various Norscan units. Yeah, Pajad has found that this matchup is difficult for dwarves when fighting my Chaos in the past. So as PD is saying in the live chat, I'm expecting to see Daughters of Chaos. Iridium's already built an army. Interesting. Goblobber, Flame Cannon, Rune Lord with his new improved melee stats. They have gone up recently, though so is his price. Bringing all runes, so he does have magic attacks. Won't make a huge difference unless Pajad has Big Bird. Giant Slayers, plenty of damage output here, and a reasonable chunk of gunpowder. Choppers, and some Dwarf Warrior frontline. It's going to be very interesting. I'm fond of the army. Chaos also a lot of metal on what appears to be a Manticore. Pajad similarly going with all armor piercing. neither faction is going to notice armour. And with this army, I am surprised that he's going with Lord of Metal. Double Hell Cannon as well. This is going to be a very interesting battle. Both factions with 2 artillery pieces. Yeah, when the choppers get into... Oh. Chaos Feral Manticore, double Warhound. So he's got double Manticore, double Warhound. Both very well into the... not even skirting around the edges of the limits for this. Double Hell Cannon I was not expecting. Again, something like... actually, I'm not even sure there is a dwarf unit with enough health, aside from possibly a gyro bomber or a gyrocopter, that the magic resist actually makes a difference against a Hell Cannon shot. Hell Cannon's coming in at 440. If you do 340 damage to a dwarf, it's dead. It doesn't really matter how much it's dead by, so much as it matters if it's dead or not. I'm not sure that's going to come back to bite him. A large map for all this artillery. He does have the range advantage, just Pajad, and that is a very rare thing to see against the dwarves. Especially from Chaos. 2 Chaos Lancers. Pajad going for a very aggressive army. Not a lot of staying power aside from through armour, which... interesting when you're fighting Giant Slayers, how that will turn out. And on MP Blue Reach River with plenty of open ground, but with cover, it'll be an interesting battle, this one. Definitely one of the best battles for tournaments, I find. He doesn't have much single target killing, but he does have 3 Thunderers to take care of that, so I think a cannon, yeah, I agree, would be very good. But I think there's something to be said for the sheer amount of firepower he has there. Of course, he's got 10 artillery pieces against 2 for a similar price. Sure, he's spent a little bit more on it than Pajad has, but it'll be interesting. And the Decadent Host is getting some viewing in the tournament, which is nice to see. That beautiful Slaaneshi purple. Iridium is not expecting to be outranged by artillery. This is going to be very interesting. The choppers away in the flank. Hidden in the trees as they can hide. Fairly blocked Thunderers, going to make very nice targets for Hell Cannons. If they were spread thinner, it might be less of a problem, but should be very interesting. Axe Warriors, I'm assuming they're not going to stay in column formation. And he's gone for a dwarf box. A dwarf box against double Hell Cannon. This is looking, unless Iridium adapts to the changing circumstance, which I think all players should, this is going to be very difficult to win. Pajad's army, not exactly sprawling, but with a fair bit of killing power in what it has. And there is a Vanguard. Double Dog. Not in the trees, surprisingly, because he could have deployed them hidden. Makes me think they're probably going to be used as more of a distraction. He's made a dwarf box, but he's left a salient point completely open here. Not quite sure whether that's deliberate or an oversight. Because there are definite ways into this box. Whether he intends to swing the flanks. I think they'll both be taking a second to realise how strange this battle is before they move. Be a few seconds before anyone decides what the hell to do about this, because this is not a situation either of them were expecting, I don't believe. I mean, if it was, I'll be very surprised, but I can't see why anyone would have predicted this. The dwarf box moving towards chaos, now that is a new one. Of course, the choppers are going hunting for the dogs, but that will give away that they exist. Obviously just doesn't want the dogs behind him. Choppers weaving in and out of the trees. And they found the hounds. And the first hell cannon shot is a complete mess. Oh no, it didn't. I'm wrong. A lone dwarf warrior. Come a cropper. Hardly game changing. Both Manticores together, I am surprised to see that. I expected he would spread the field with them a little bit more. Oh, and a beautiful hell cannon shot. Completely decimating Thunderers. They need to spread thinner. Looks like a control group to me, and sure they work, but you've got to be able to adapt them. Those Thunderers spread, Pajad's going to have an issue, especially, there we go. And if this one moves over here, he'll be able to contest that flank as well. The artillery of the dwarves is all shooting at flying targets. I'm not sure that this is a... Oh no, he's realised. Hell cannon shot coming in and missing. Mercilessly from the dwarf's perspective, because if that had hit... Oh, and another miss. But there is a ceaseless barrage of demons. Oh, and another shot. Nothing too spectacular this time, a couple of kills here and there. Choppers going to contest. Warhound's looking for a way in, not finding one yet. Some damage but no kills. Choppers heading into the forest. And Plague of Rust going down. Bringing their very useful armour down a bit. Metals cast going down. Oh, and it's here. Searing Doom. Oh, and that... This is the problem with tightly packing the troops. The spells going down. The artillery coming in. This is looking like a war of attrition. Not going to be a huge amount of ammunition to keep this up for... Oh, my God. A completely dirty shot from that hell cannon. And another almost in the same place. One chopper down. But... Thunderers opening fire all the way down the line is really going to hurt these Manticores. The trees have given them some cover, but it's driven them off. You can't keep the Manticores there. It ain't going to completely stop them existing, but it does mean that they have to make a decision about whether they want to stay there and die or they want to move. It's really forcing his hand, and the artillery has started to come in the opposite direction now. The Goblobber already making up for the 10 dwarf kills. Hellcannon's clocking in at 3 kills and 43 kills. The Goblobber in its single volley getting 23. If you bring in artillery, it appears to be a dwarf. Dogs in against giant slayers and and dogs are classed as small. So the Giant Slayers won't have that extra 5 attack, but that's not a big deal. Giant Slayers are taking a very large amount of damage. They just do not have the defense or the... But they're about to get big damage bonus, 65 weapon strength. Those Warhounds are about to get punished, but that is a very good trade. the amount of the amount of gold difference that has made is definitely worth it. Chaos Axe Marauders really taking a lot of damage here. 5-minute skirmish phase that the Chaos are enjoying against the Dwarves. It's not every day you see that. It's a pity Iridium didn't bring the Gilded, otherwise we really would have had the most strange battle ever with Dwarf Cavalry against Chaos Artillery. Because Iridium still doesn't know about the Chaos Lancers. He's moved his box back into his control group, he's lost everything, is repositioned. Oh! It really is a demoralising thing from the Dwarf's perspective. It isn't a spectacular amount of kills. It must be shy of 100. Yeah, 87. Oh! Maybe not shy of 100 anymore. But it really is a morale thing. Not for the unit, but for the player. Giant Slayers at half health. Manticores that haven't been able to be shut down. Constant barrage. The attrition that the Dwarves are coming under, these Thunderers taking a pounding, it really is a difficult thing to figure out how you're going to deal with it, especially when you've brought this army. Definitely well-built army by Pajad here to fight what he expected. Flame cannons coming in, doing plenty of damage. And we have Melto, almost. Oh no! Flame cannon hitting his own troops. That is the last thing he needs a bit round. Manticore's landing. Now that Pajad's troops are getting closer, the Hell Cannons are going to stop being as useful. The Dwarves pushing back the cavalry, but these Giant Slayers not really achieved anything yet. The unwillingness to leave the box, I think, Iridium's downfall in this one. I don't think he's going to be able to bring this back. And I think this one was over when the box was formed, to be honest. Has adapted well as Iridium. Yeah, he has started to move his troops, realising that the box isn't the way to go. Pity it came a little bit late. I don't think there's a way back for the Dwarves here. The Hell Cannon surprisingly still firing. I did think he was going to start hitting me. He's shooting at the back troops, that makes sense. Can't be long before it starts doing more damage to Chaos than it does against the Dwarves. Yeah, friendly fire there a bit from the Chaos Axe Marauders. The Dwarf Warriors holding out, but with no prospect of relief. Giant Slayers fighting to the last, but nothing that can be done really. We might bring another couple of Chaos Lancers down. Certainly got the attack stats by the time they've added their 17 bonus versus large, now that we've got Death Throw. And yeah, I am surprised the Hell Cannons are still firing, because they are almost exclusively killing Chaos troops now. That right into the middle of the Chaos Axe Warriors. Chosen Axeman heading in. The coup de grace. Choppers have pestered the Source Lord of Metal. I have liked the chopper usage this game. Definitely been the most dynamic and effective part of Iridium's army. Oh, that Hell Cannon friendly fire is obscene. Yeah, I think PD's got it with his comment of he's playing vanilla dwarfs in the end times. To an extent, I think it is a very good way to die. The Rune Lord holding out. The choppers are ready to land. But I think the writing's on the wall for this one. And the helicopter's gonna have to land. I don't think Iridium's noticed yet. And that's game. A good indicator of how things are different in the tournament to how they will be in a vanilla one. I think that battle. When the dwarf forms a box and instead of everyone being filled with dread for the enemy, they're filled with dread for the dwarfs. I'd definitely prefer it that way. Chaos Lancers 125. The Warhound's doing a lot of damage. Only 50 kills, but they were against Giant Slayers. Not often you see double Hell Cannon against the dwarves. Okay, next map will be Longueuil. Pajad to ban. I'm not sure what Pajad will ban here. He's already banned High Elves. He bans Skaven. Okay, Iridium to ban. I'm not sure what either player is going to play here. I'm expecting a strong possibility of Tomb Kings, possibly High Elves for Pajad. Not quite sure what I'm expecting from Iridium here though. Haven't played as much Empire. Yeah, good choice to ban there. I think Pajad's definitely experienced with his Empire play. Though if he's banning Skaven, he's picked Beastmen and banned Skaven. That's bizarre. Not quite sure what's going on here. Wouldn't have seen that coming in a million years. And Iridium picks Wood Elves. Now this is going to be interesting. There's a lot of forest on this map. Not everywhere, but pretty damn good. Nothing from Iridium as yet. Pajad, Malagor the Dark Omen. A heavy War Dancer contingent by Iridium. I do think that's a pretty good pick against the Beastmen, to be honest. Plenty of armor piercing, but also bracing. Gorble, Brace Shaman of Death, and Malagor the Dark Omen. Deathcaster I am surprised by, just bringing Spirit Leech. 1,000 gold for Spirit Leech is an extreme choice. If Iridium brings well, that's timing. If Iridium brings Dirthu, he isn't going to be able to chunk down that. And Pajad's changed his mind. He's come to the same conclusion, I think. Fairly infantry heavy on both sides so far. Pesty Gauze. Swap out for the Gauze. And the Dirthu's gone as well. He has Earthblood and he has a dragon. This is going to be... And a life spell singer. Surprised he's gone for the double caster. Not quite sure what he's gaining there. And he's changed his mind, he's gone for the spell singer. And he's bringing them on a Great Eagle. Very infantry heavy so far with magic support. Expecting to see... Harpy. Yeah, Harpy's always a good pick. Especially used in twos like that. Be very interesting, given that the spell singer is flying, and shielded Wild Riders and normal Wild Riders. I'm a fan, I like Iridium's army. Not ranged, no ranged units aside from the Lord in a Wood Elf army. There's no unit that Pestigors are going to be able to catch. Iridium, if he plays this right, will be able to completely dictate all terms of this battle. He's got Prey of Anathema, he's got slows on his life spell singer, he has fast units across the board, and he's swapping out a Wild Rider. Maybe Sisters of the Thorn's going to make an appearance. Maybe a couple of Glade Guard if he's decided that he wants some ammo. Maybe even some Hagbanes. Sisters of the Thorn I think will be a good pick. Not quite sure the psychology behind it though. And he does have Flesh to Stone, which means he is going to be able to change it up and decide to have a defensive unit instead of an aggressive one. Pajad's army, yeah, double Minotaur at the end. Not surprising really. And he does have Savage Dominion on Malagor, so Malagor, when he gets low, is going to suddenly turn into a Psycho, if he keeps the Winds of Magic. Loic Tricksters, the decision in the end. I quite like that as a decision actually. An elite unit to deal with, I suppose, Minotaurs with the army Pajad has. That's a better pick. Normally, I'm a big advocate for Wild Riders. To be honest, I'd like to see some Glade Lancers in this army, but it's very nice. Not the most diverse. If Pajad had gone with a lot of Ungor Raiders, Iridium would be in trouble. Iridium is away for a moment just to go to the toilet. Warhounds are going to be useful here. But when they reach Iridium, they're not going to have a good day. But they are going to be good for tying him up, in the hope that the Gore Vanguard can get there, the Harpies can get there, etc. Butchers of Kalkengard and Minotaur. I prefer Iridium's army here. A lot's going to depend on the Harpies and whether the Dragon can stop them reaching the Spellsing, and whether the Prey of Anathema comes down the Minotaurs and things like that. Pajad doesn't have many good answers to a Dragon though. I don't think 2 Harpies are going to be enough with no ranged. He's gone for another Dogs. I think he's expecting Iridium to go very heavy on the ranged. It looks like he's built an army to deal with a lot of Way Watchers and Deepwood Scouts, Glade Guard, and he's getting a heavy infantry build. This is going to be interesting. I think this may go the way of Iridium from the armies. And we are in to the second game of this best of 3. Sorry about that. Longueuil makes this matchup a very interesting one. The trees here, and here in particular, I mean, sure, there's other trees on the map, but these are really the two deciding factors. Of course, the Wood Elves and the Beastmen not getting the usual penalties, but they are going to block sight. It's always hard for people to command in trees. And not a lot of Strider, so they will block charges to an extent, even without a statistical change. Not a lot of Woodsmen, not a lot of Strider. Fair few flying units though. 4 on the field. I do think spending 900 gold on Warhounds may come back to bite Bajad. And not ones with poison either. Butchers of Kalkengard are going to be pretty dangerous though. There's not a lot for the War Dancers without the spears to really do. The War Dancers with the spears, of course, are going to cut straight through that armour. Those Azrai spears are brilliant at that. Not a massive weapon strength, but really dangerous against armour. And these War Dancers here, these sword ones, once they've killed the Gore Vanguard, it's not going to be a great deal. It's not going to be a hurt Pestigos, really. They'll do a bit of damage against the Koroks Man Rippers, because they are, of course, marked with Slaanesh, making them lighter than they initially seem. Butchers of Kalkengard, 70 armour. They'll do some. Iridium going for the full hidden force, it seems. Not sure what the plan is. It's decided against it. And yeah, I'm not sure what it gained him. If Bajad had seen the 2 flying units there, he would probably have beelined straight for the forest, because that's the only explanation. Iridium is ready. This is his position, and I will just hide some foliage so you guys can see a little better in this one. The slope really not helping the War Dancers there. Definitely giving an extra momentum to any charge that comes over that brow. But if Iridium moves his troops forward 15-20 metres or so, then he'll be in a much better position. And game has started. Hidden units are revealed straight off the bat. Wild Riders spotted by the dogs, and the dogs have earned their keep just from that. The dragon and the eagle heading straight in is got to be a fear factor, if nothing else. And what looks like it drove the Pestigos back at least. It hasn't affected them, but it has stopped them coming forward, so it's done its job. It's done more than 30% slow wood to stopping the advance. Hasn't got the damage, but against Pestigos it ain't going to do much anyway. Spears straight into the dogs. I do think that's a little of a waste, unless something... Yeah, no, it's worked. It's pulled the Gore Vanguard down. Just needs something to stop those Pestigos. Interesting to see how the Prey of Aneth Raymer will be used. I think that's going to be a big deal this game. Butchers of Kalkengard really sending the War Dancers flying there. A rear charge coming in from the Wild Riders, I've no doubt, into the Koroks Man Rippers. I'd be amazed if anything else happened here. Yeah, sure enough. Koroks Man Rippers, 1200 gold unit. Ceasing to exist incredibly swiftly. Still some forgotten War Dancers, it seems, at the back. Dogs not really sure what to do. Another Wild Rider charge. Properly harassing what has been a very Nurgle, very slow moving Beastman army, but the Minotaur's really earning the keep. As predicted, the Sword War Dancers not really doing all that much, but Shielded Wild Riders with Earthblood fighting the Minotaurs, they're going to trade very efficiently. He needs to get these Wild Riders out of these Pestigores. The Pestigores are doing their job far too well for Iridium at the moment. For Iridium to deal with, rather. Looks like a Valtide coming down on the Shielded Wild Riders. Again, not a battle they should be in, just get them out of there, move on. The best thing you can do against a Pestigore is not be there. Wild Riders have recovered, Shielded Wild Riders being pushed back, but 3 Minotaurs dead. No Butchers of Kalkengard yet to be lost, and have been lost yet. Glade Lord has landed, the Harpies earning the keep, and I believe that is, I'm not sure what that is, Traitor Kin coming down. I'm not sure what this is. Dwellers Below. Only thing I can think of that being. Stopping the enemy coming on that flank, but probably doing more damage to his friends than his enemies. War Dancers appear to still have been forgotten. If they got into this fight earlier, it would have been much more comfortably in Iridium's favour. At the moment, I would say Pajad has had a slight edge in the battle so far, but very slight. So much so that I'm not even sure now I've said it that I believe it. Go Vanguard going down. Pestigore's there, but can easily be ignored if it goes well. We're working with the wood on the Pestigores. It's not going to do huge amounts of damage, but it'll do enough to be a nuisance. Pestigores, of course, taking that damage over time that it gives. And Brace Scream. Really shrieking in my ears. I'm sure all of yours haven't clocked that, or I've zoomed out. War Dancers in the back of the Warhounds. Minotaurs really chasing down some winded and tired Wild Riders. I haven't seen a Prey Van Thramer yet. I think it would be a great time for it on the Butchers would now. He has brought it. I haven't seen Arrows of Kurnos either. Whether there is a plan or whether it's just intense micro, I couldn't tell you. Whether it's just he's saving it for dealing with a specific thing, or whether it's just been forgotten about. If he has forgotten, it isn't a big issue, because I think it could still be deliberate. If it could be deliberate. Ah, there we go. Prey Van Thramer on the Butchers of Kalkengard, keeping them there, letting the Glady get into the battle. This is turning it, rapidly devolving into a blob fight. Earthblood going, regrowth, going down the Glady. Valtide on the Shielded Wild Riders doing a fair chunk of damage, but only killing 4 models. Now will be the time for a regrowth, an Earthblood, and he's done it! An Earthblood, giving fresh troops to this blob fight against the very tired Minotaurs. That could be a swing factor. Life Spell Singer, half health, still Loix Tricksters doing okay. Butchers of Kalkengard not loving where they're at. But that spell's going to hurt. Another Brace Screen. Not huge amounts of damage. I don't think it was overcast. Not risking. I'm surprised he didn't overcast it actually, purely because of the position he's in, and miscast would be gorgeous round about now. And he's put another cast down, but I don't see what it is. Oh, maybe he was interrupted. I don't see any of the sound. Yeah, he didn't. Iridium didn't pull out against the Pestigores, which is a shame, because that would have been a big swing factor. Would have been good to see the impact that would have had. This blob, balance of power, I disagree with. I think it's pretty close at this point, pretty even. The Gorball is going to be a pain. Malagor, when he turns into a Cygor, may be the swing factor of the battle. But these Pestigores, by the time they reach it, the battle will be over. The Glady, I'm surprised she's not using the Gore Vanguard as a battery for her, and that is a Cygor about to be in the middle of the battle. Here he is, coming out of the ground, Malagor the Dark Omen, with an air cut. And an Awakening of the Wood on Pestigores. Again, not going to do a huge amount, but what else are you going to use it against? It's mostly being used for the Life Bloom, I would imagine. Life Spell Singer not doing much. The Glady not routing off the Beastman is a shame. The Pestigors have arrived. The battle over here was decided, but Saigon managed to keep it going out a little bit longer. Discouraged by ability, attacked in rear. And I think the Beastmen are going to take this. A valiant effort by Iridium, well played. I think a few small changes in decisions there about fighting the Pestigors would have seen that battle go very differently. Well played to both players, and that means Pajad is through to the final against PD the Power Dragon. In the meantime, I will gather Iridium and Kaboom. Iridium's left, I think he's probably forgotten. That we intend to do a third place playoff. I can't find Kaboom. There he is. Let's just send him a message. Kaboom. And Iridium. Kelp and Coal Dust being the next map. Oh, looks like Iridium's had to leave. So I'll just let Kaboom know. Oh, okay. Iridium has had to go. Sorry about this, gents. Okay, which means PD and Pajad. And we'll stick with Kelp and Coal Dust for that. Oh, PD's already in game, must have been waiting. PD's already here. Kelp and Coal Dust. And of course nobody has banned anything yet in this particular matchup. This is the best of 5. The third place will be another best of 3, but this will be best of 5. Okay. Now, for anyone who didn't watch our last tournament, the Ever Chosen tournament, it was PD against Pajadtron in the final of that tournament as well. And PD won that particular best of 5 3-2. I think Pajaz misread that slightly. Pajaz getting a little bit excited about the final there, I think, and not realising. Vampire Coast banned by PD against Pajad. Okay, now Pajad can ban. And Dark Elves have been banned. He definitely seemed sure that's what he's doing, which means I'm expecting Pajad to be playing High Elves. Pajad has banned Dark Elves. PD picks Warriors of Chaos. Interesting. Oh, I see. PD's using this as an effective way to ban. Pajad doesn't like fighting Chaos as dwarves. So PD is managing to ban dwarves twice effectively by his choices. At least that's what I believe is going on. I'm wondering whether he'll still go High Elves. I think if he's banning Dark Elves, I think he's done that to avoid it. But he could be going Bretonnia. Because PD did play... No, I was right. High Elves. Now that it's the final, I can say that Pajad has been playing a fair bit of High Elves in preparation for this without telling PD quite what's going on tactically with the decisions. Hasn't played them against PD to my knowledge to try and avoid... him preparing, so it should be interesting. Big Bird making an appearance. Massive price to bring, but well worth it. A complete monster to deal with, huge health pool. Good melee stats, decent weapon strength, and lots of magic. Swordmaster of Hoeth, Tyrion on his mount, I believe, and a noble. With no healing, I'm wondering whether the noble, how the noble's being used. I'm interested in that. Spirit Leech, Shem's Burning Gaze, Harmonic Convergence, plenty of useful stuff on there. I'm surprised he's bringing Wissan's Wild Form. I'm sure I butchered the pronunciation there. But against the Chaos, there's a lot of armoured targets, and if I find the Beast's Caster, I'll be able to show you guys what it does in the end times. Huge base damage, but big chunk off you armor piercing. Welcome to the stream, Cowboy. PD has switched it up and brought us Dragon of Death. He's decided to go for Spirit Leech as well. Chaos Lancers, Chaos Warriors. He's built the army in his head before he's done this, I believe. Chaos Warriors, well, yeah, will help with the archers. Chaos Marauders. Front line plus shield wall, which for anyone who doesn't know the mod as well, that's shield wall. Big missile block chance, big charge resist, expert charge defense, immune to psychology if you're stationary and you have more than half your troops. Cowboy and Ragnar currently having the discussion in the live chat. They are playing in the first round tomorrow. In the part 2 of this tournament. There will be 2 victors for these tournaments, spread over 2 days. One of them is guaranteed to be either PD the Power Dragon or Pajadtron. Trolls making an appearance. Marauder Horseman. Let's have a look at Pajad time and see what's... Okay, so Phoenix Guard, Lyrian Reavers, War Lions. Because he is going to have to increase the infantry, because you have to have at least 4 sets of units from the infantry class in order for it to be tournament legal. With 600 troops minimum. But yeah, definitely taking the time to consider this one. Sisters of Avalon must be tempting in case there's Kolek Sun Eater or a Dragon, or... And actually in this case, they'll do pretty well. The only time they wouldn't have done that well is if he had stuck with Big Bird. possible that that's on a Manticore? I'm not sure how many spells it's got. Oh no, it's not. It's got breath attacks. It's a dragon. And a star dragon on the other side. He's going to... Presumably it's going to be either rangers, spearmen or warriors to meet the cap here. A star dragon. I didn't see that coming. Oh, I've got to say. And there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 500. And 80. So it's not quite legal yet. He still needs more men. Plenty of halberds coming in this Manticore to support the Death Sorcerer. Makes a lot of sense. And cultists. Always good to see cultists. "17 models off of being legal, this army. So even another set of war lions would do it. Yeah, PD just noticing that a Manticore seems to be costing -500 gold for some people at the moment. It is a bug. I am aware of it, and I'm working towards trying to fix it, but I'm yet to figure out quite why it's doing that. But Jad, definitely struggling to get it to the army he wants and keep it tournament legal. Cowboy saying his money's on chaos. I do like the army. Pajad is still trying to make it tournament legal. It looks like he spent his last of his money. I will point it out to him if he doesn't change it. 583 the model cap. Just take a minute while Pajad notices the messages. Because until he readies up, he can't actually do it. I will send him a quick message on Discord. See if that comes through a bit faster. Possibly Steam. See if that comes up on everyone's stream or not. No, we're good. There we go. He's seen. You haven't noticed. The good news, of course, with this is it gives Iridium time to get back for the third place battle between him and Kaboom after these have done. Please do remember to give the stream a like if you're liking it and watching it. Raise its profile a little bit from non-existent to existing, but only if you look really closely. I'm not endorsed by Tesco, but every little helps. Imagine that goes straight over the heads of our American watchers, and they are numerous, so apologies for that. Okay, so he has now got he's got enough of your troops now, he just needs to find some infantry. Really wanting that elite corps. And he's cut Tyrion, bringing a prince instead on a... I see, he's bringing a prince to do his Star Dragon role. It's cost him 300 extra gold, but saved him Tyrion's gold, so he saved himself about 1700 gold. Okay, now it's legal. And I think a stronger army, to be honest. If anything, I think PD would have preferred the illegal army. 6 infantry, 3 archers, 2 cav. Cav light, the chaos forces do have the cavalry advantage, which is always a bad thing when you're high elves. But when your core of your army is Phoenix Guard, I don't suppose you really cared about Chaos Knights as much as you otherwise would. PD doesn't have a brilliant way of dealing with them, but he does have Purple Zone of Xerius. If he can get a Purple Sun onto the Phoenix Guard, or even Fate of Buna and Spirit Leech, he can get them below their martial mastery, halve their stats. Once the stats are halved, then the Chaos Warriors will have a good chance of bringing them down. Until then, the Phoenix Guard will just laugh in their face. And we have Kelp and Coldust. Definitely one of my preferred small maps in this. The terrain changes from this hill definitely make for interesting games. And we're in. Surprised it's taken us long to load in there, because it's certainly not got weaker computers than I have. On that note, for the foreseeable future, the streams aren't going to be very flashy and spectacularly high graphics. Running it as best I can and still be able to upload fast enough to not make your stream all grainy. Shows Halberdiers ready, led by their chosen. Lots of Chaos Warriors here. The archers really aren't going to have many good targets this game. I mean, sure, the the amount of halberds on the field is going to help them have a few more, but... And they aren't armoured, so they do not have the melee stats that they might otherwise want. And a complete shift to the left flank. Interesting. This will be a game that has a large bearing, I think, on the psychology of the two players. And will make a big difference to how the rest of the best of 5 plays out, I think. Not necessarily in the losers, to the loser's detriment either. It might be that the victor's complacency or whatever, but I do think that the way the two players react to this will be significant. And Pajad changed his mind again. Beautiful, the Phoenix Guards. Really are one of the most stunning units. Definitely make for better viewing than most units. Surprised to see the Phoenix Guard ahead of the Spearmen. Imagine the Spearmen are being used as a sweeping unit to deal with the cavalry incursions on the flanks. Though PD has gone full Alexander and decided to go with a single flank of heavy cavalry, one of which, with the swords rather than the lancers, will be able to tie down whatever's stopping it, and then the other two hit in. It's a sensible tactic. I mean, he doesn't know that there's only 2 Illyrian Reavers, but if he did, he'd probably do what he's doing. The Illyrian Reavers on the wrong flank to intercept the cavalry, because they don't have a huge amount of killing power, so they're not going to do much to the Chaos Warriors. They might to the cultists, stop them being archers, but even then they'll still be Chaos Spawn. Oh, for anyone who doesn't know, the cultists have a transformation ability called Submit to the Dark Gods, which turns them into a much smaller unit of, well, much more numerous, but much physically smaller unit of Chaos Spawn. At 550 gold, you would hope that it wasn't a full-size Chaos Spawn, given that they come in at 1350. Pajad is ready. Haven't seen PD move any of his army for a while. PD's ready, and they the go-ahead been given. Copy that for later. Saves me the trouble of typing. And instantly an upgraded Spirit Leech onto the Prince. And of course Pajad has cut, for anyone who didn't notice, his Spirit Leech, which was going to be his way of fighting the Chaos Sorcerer Lord. This still has a Star Dragon of significantly better stats than the Chaos Sorcerer Lord. The Prince definitely more prolific in melee, so there is that. And the Illyrian Reavers, the big charge at the Chaos Warriors, not that it did a lot of damage, but it did a lot of disruption. Wouldn't be surprised to see the Dragon land here, yeah. Personally, I think a breath attack in before that would have stopped some wastage on the melee recharge. Those Illyrian Reavers are going to last a while. Definitely need something to deal with these Phoenix Guard. A Shield of Thorns upgraded. Stops the charge, gives a bit of physical resist. I can see the appeal. Not sure why it went down there though. PD's getting some rather unpleasant blobbing going on. Phoenix Guard into the Chaos Spawn. The Chaos Spawn's indiscriminate murder ability is going to be very useful at chunking down the Phoenix Guard on a budget. Prince flying in, and that is the beautiful target of those Phoenix Guard for a breath attack. I'll be very surprised if we don't see one. Oh, calling me very surprised. Went against the Prince. I think that was a mistake. To be honest, I think an opportunity to get rid of a set of Phoenix Guard or do a little bit of damage to a dragon. I think the dragon's fear factor is making a more difficult decision-making process there. Obviously in the midst of battle, it's easy for me to say that. But I don't think it was a good call either way. An aspect of the Dread Knight, Soul Blight, every buff and debuff under the sun going down on both these units. Fate of Buna on the Phoenix Guard, chunking them right down. The Prince on the Star Dragon, despite having much better stats than the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Death, being driven straight off and in on the Chaos Sorcerer Lord. Chaos Halberdiers and the Illyrian Reavers. This is turning into a very massed fight very quickly. These Chaos Lancers with everything's got Slanesh on the cavalry. I'm surprised to see no Khorne, because some charges would be nice. Getting caught on the spears, unfortunately. I think the micro attacks is high. He is going to clip on the Phoenix Guard, but if he keeps... Yeah, he is still going to make it through. He's going to lose some models, but he is going to make it into the archers, possibly straight through into the other Phoenix Guard. A regrowth going down on the Prince by the looks of things. Balance of power, I'm disagreeing with. I do think PD currently has a slight edge, but I do not think it's the sort of 30% that it thinks it is. I think it's about 10. A lot of this depends on the Phoenix Guard, and I do think regrowth on the Dragon was probably not as effective as regrowth on the Phoenix Guard. I do think there's been a few decisions made by both players so far, such as the pressure of a final, that weren't the right choice. Chaos Halberdiers really chunking through the Spearmen. And now we're going with the balance of power. This is very much in PD's favour. The Phoenix Guard are holding till the cows come home, but I don't think it's going to matter. There's not going to be an army for them to guard. Chaos Lancers, trancing archers, and now we've had a breath attack against the Phoenix Guard. That's got rid of their martial mastery and brought their stats down from 120-100 to 60-50, a very significant thing. And PD has been a nice Doom and Darkness. You don't see it often, Doom and Darkness, I find, but it does definitely make a big difference, giving a chance for that Prince. And it might not rout the Prince, that leadership being down, but it will mean Pajad has to do something about it. Quite cheap for what it is, in that respect. It forces the other player to make a decision, which is the best macro attack you're going to get. And a Star Dragon Breath, mulching some Chaos troops. And I think clipping a Phoenix Guard or two, but still an effective trade. Lost track of the Chaos, but there they are. There should still be another cultist somewhere. There it is. Archers coming in on the cultists. That's not going to go well for the archers. The exhaustion has started to hit, and Pajad is starting to bring this back a bit. But it may be too little too late. Got some wavering halberdiers. Phoenix Guard, 37 melee defense. Prince, not liking the air war, that's for sure. Phoenix Guard in a full surround off. Bit of lag there, but nothing too significant. It is a shame for Pajad that the Life Mage was routed off, I believe completely from the battle, or possibly killed, but no longer on the field at any rate, because an Earthblood here giving all these troops double the melee attack from the fatigue penalty being changed rather than from the actual direct buff would make a significant difference, given that PD doesn't have a way of getting these troops out to rest them of any significance. Must be getting near to the point where the money's built up for some death magic. There's not been enough of it yet to have run out of winter magic, I don't think. Not far off, and he's getting a rear charge in. Sword of Anti-Heroes. And what looks like a Spirit Leech. Yeah, Spirit Leech coming down on the Prince with units on his rear. He's very tired, he's not going to be liking it. If he's exhausted, he might rout. 40 leadership still. Chaos Spawn. I don't think Indiscriminate Murder... Indiscriminate Murder triggers in the centre of the Chaos Spawn unit, where the Chaos Spawn all mash together. So there, if the radius saw you. So it won't actually be affecting it. It is a shame, because that is very useful against the High Elves. Get into the back of those Phoenix Guard, it make a big difference. And PD is left. Okay, that I didn't see coming. I don't know what's happened there. I will find out whether he conceded or dropped. One play to both players regardless. He's dropped. We'll give him a minute. PD's had a crash, so we'll redo the first game, I think. I'll let Pajad know what's going on. Yeah, PD's just informing that he's had some issues during the game, but hopefully nothing that isn't going to be fixed by rejoining. Hopefully that won't happen again. So the score is still 0-0. And I do think PD had won that, but not with enough certainty to give him a win there. I think replaying. So I'll just let them both know. All bans are now reset. MP Peak Pass will be the map this time. Yes, God, we will be redoing the 0-0 after the first game, but with both players with their eyes in and with some idea. So yeah, he's just letting Pajad know that his dragon was bugged. I did notice that there was strange dragon play going on. It does happen occasionally in multiplayer. But he dealt with it well, I thought. I suspect that could supposed to say couldn't. So PD to ban. And he's banned the same thing, yeah, makes sense. PD's still banned Vampire Coast, Pajad to ban. And he's sticking both doing the same ban. Okay. PD to pick. I wonder if he'll stick with Chaos. No, he's going with Vampire Coast. Now that is a surprise. Okay. And I do think the player that... I think if it had been, as a policy for tournaments, if a player drops while losing by a significant margin, then it will go to the winning player. But with the winning player dropping in the middle of an attempted comeback, I think it's best to replay. Pajad picks Greenskins. Now, he did play Greenskins against PD in the last tournament, but PD was Skaven for that. Because he's still high, so he hasn't started on his army yet. So Lostra Deer fan, looking to make an appearance. And I will just take a quick hiatus from the commentary to grab a glass of water. I'll leave you with PD's army to have a browse. And we are back. Okay, Pajad's army. Grimgore, River Troll Hag, Goblins, Black Orcs, Orc Araboys and Stone Trolls. Quite a strong army, really. PD. Depth Guard, lots of crabs. Stone Trolls probably quite like having lots of crabs against them. Oh, and he's changed his mind. He's completely rebuilding his army. RNS Assault Spike. With the anti-large. Still going for the same core of zombie infantry. Some deck droppers, they're going to be a nightmare for this particular... I mean, sure, there's a couple of Orc Araboys which will help, but when you've got a Deathroot Terrorgeist and double deck dropper to deal with, it's not going to be easy. I think the Orc Boy Big Uns are interesting and probably quite a good pick here. Squig Herd, not a unit you see very often. Definitely a worthy pick though. Plenty of damage for their price. A couple of Scurvy Dogs. We've seen PD Scurvy Dogs already this tournament. And double Depth Guard I think is probably a good pick. And Pajad has cut a Black Orc and brought a Wyvern instead. Not a lot of range support for the Vampire Coast, but he has got something in of grabs. And Fog of the Damned. Fog of the Damned is significant, as well as Tide Call. If you can get both of those on the enemy, that's a hell of a debuff. Tide Call and Fog of the Damned will take Black Orcs from doing quite well against Depth Guard to really wanting to go home and not having a generally bad day. Savage Orc Big Uns, probably a very good pick actually. Not a lot of defence, plenty of attack, but against the undead, that decisive blow, using the rich people to hold it off, probably very good. He hasn't brought magic attacks, but PD cut his Ghost Lord. I think that's a big risk by both players. Well, by Pajad certainly. To not bring any magic attacks aside from Spirit Leech. I suppose he might have Purple Sun. I haven't actually looked at the Deathcaster's spell outfit yet, but we'll see. All to play for. Interesting map this for both players. No artillery from either, so the hills aren't going to be... Actually, I'm not sure that's true now I've said it. PD may have artillery. I've already forgotten. No, I was right the first time, we didn't have any. Stone Trolls. Araboys, Black Orcs, Savage Orcs, Goblins. Nothing hugely unusual in this army. So it's entirely possible that PD will have predicted this when he was building. Slightly more unusual from the coast, but not that dissimilar to the build he brought earlier in this tournament, which Pajad will have watched. Depth Guard on both flanks, flyers above. The Wyvern's going to be a pain for PD. For sure. Spearfisher's Net may come in very handy this game though. If you can get Spearfisher's Net, Fog of the Damned and Tide Call. I'll show you what Tide Call does for anyone who doesn't play a great deal of End Times Vampires. Big percentage down. It's not dissimilar from being in water. A lot of it was deciding to tweak it because it all hit you, but the debuff being of how it affects the troop in the water, and it doesn't affect the Vampire Coast being aquatic. Or at least that's the logic behind it. It doesn't affect your own team. And it will affect, say, Skinks, despite them being aquatic, because it isn't actually something the game's capable of doing. It isn't saying it doesn't affect aquatic units. Grimgore, definitely going to be significant. A lot of these armies have similar themes to them. So it is going to be interesting to see how both armies, decent flying contingent, decent monsters on the flanks, a heavy infantry, light infantry, that they are very similar to being equivalents of what each faction can do. Personally, I slightly prefer Pajad's army here. But that crab's going to munch on goblins and have a grand old time if it gets in. And he's going for the depth fleet captain, but he'll regen. He'll do plenty of damage, but he can't hit a fit of Buna from that distance. As long as he gets his... yeah, he's going to get his crab summon off early, in fear of the death magic. And battle is joined. Scurvy dogs coming in the rear as the zombie infantry moves up. Depth guard heading towards the stone trolls. That is the purring sound of flintlock pistols. The Wyvern Riders... I mean, he's done a bit of damage to the deck droppers, more than he's received. But the deck droppers come back and the Wyvern doesn't. A miscast by the Wyvern Troll Hag, presumably putting another upgraded Spirit Leech on the Depth Fleet Captain, but he does regen. Even more so in melee combat. And he has the stats to be part of it. Fog of the Damned coming down in the blob fight. If he can get a tide call through that same blob, it could be a massive swing factor to this game. Fog of the Damned is coming down the other side. I'm completely wrong. That is a Soul Blight from Prajad. But each flank receiving debuffs from the other flank's other team's wizard. And a tide call Fog of the Damned combination. Love to see it. These troops are not going to be loving life, and although it isn't visible on the unit card, Black Orcs with 29 attack, 34 defense, they are going to struggle. The depth guard, by contrast, 63-55. Really is having a huge impact on the battle, this magic, on both sides. But the Troll Hag has dealt damage as well. And we have two broken troops. The depth guard, the left PD's right flank has broken. Left of the Orcs is pushing through. Stone Trolls holding off. A lot of these troops haven't managed to get into the melee. It's been a little bit tight. But the crabs are surrounding Grimgor, and to be honest, I think Grimgor is probably quite pleased about that. Certainly stops him getting bored. Orc Caraboys and scurvy dogs in amongst them. Pirate Gunnery Mob trying to flank round onto the Stone Trolls. A lot happening very fast in this battle. Much higher pace than you typically see from these. And the Depth Fleet Captain just deciding to behead a Black Orc in vengeance for the Spirit Leeches. Aranessa with Mither Honour really stopping her getting away from Grimgor, getting a rear charge in on her with a vastly larger size. She's turning around to fight him. Surprised she didn't Spearfish's net him, to be honest. Again, this flank isn't going too well for the Orcs. Sure, the Stone Trolls will hold out a little longer, but each faction has very much broken the back of the left flank of the other. And Tidecall coming down, debuffing and slowing up. Oh, it's been cancelled. Spirit Leech and Healing Cap has been reached on the Depth Fleet Captain. Pirate Gunnery Mob brought low by Savage Opbingans, but exhaustion has started to hit the Orcs. Of course, the dead, being dead and all, don't really suffer from fatigue. So I don't know what spell that is. Could be a Vangeist. Surprised he's going down there, to be honest. I think his fleet captain must be on low health and deciding that it's worth chunking down those Stone Trolls while they're hurting the Leviathan. And it has done a decent bit of damage. Nothing to write home about though, because it mostly doesn't hit where it shows on the unit. It's a pity he didn't put it here, shooting that way, to be honest, because that would have hurt both the Black Orcs and the Stone Trolls. Of course, it needed to have predicted the movement, but it was signposted somewhat. The Stone Trolls holding out just too long. The Rotten Leviathan is going to come down, and I think the Orcs are going to take this game. Araness Assault Spire Assault Spite, rather. RNS Assault Spite. Getting ripped by Grimgor in combination with the River Troll Hag's debuffs, slowing her right down so she can't get away, and it's looking like game. Heavier troops by the Orcs there for a melee focused battle. Not quite enough support from the Vampire Coast to augment weaker troops in that, I think, there. Scurvy Dogs didn't have any nice targets aside from the front line, and they were Vanguard deployed at the back. If they'd been on the flanks, it might have been a different story. But well played all round. Okay. The map is Schwarzhafen. And Pajad to ban. Of course, this is the best of 5, so... And we've seen that PD pulled ahead in the first game at the very least. Pajad bans Skaven. No huge surprises there. Okay, and PD to ban. Pajad trying to get up to a 2-0. PD bans High Elves. Okay, Pajad to pick. I'm expecting the Empire. Possibly Dwarves for this one. He'll save Tomb Kings. He's picked Greenskins again. Interesting. Didn't see that coming. Don't think PD saw that coming either. I don't know how PD will choose to fight the Greenskins now that he knows he's doing it when he's making the choice. Maybe Chaos? Maybe the Counts. I don't think PD knows how PD's going to pick this yet either. Dark Elves, interesting. Don't see that much Dark Elf play from PD, but his Cav play does tend to be very good as them. He did beat Pajad in one of the practice games with a Dark Elf build, as I recall. Supreme Dark Sorceress. Yes, makes a lot of sense. Deciding on the mount now. He'll want the Dark Magic, he's just deciding... He wants Doombolt, I'd imagine. He might even bring Malekith on a dragon. No, Dreadlord. Stripped down. Expecting a Dark Sorceress. Backing it up, to be honest. Azag. On a Wyvern coming this time. With a Black Orc Big Boss to support. Schwarzhafen, of course, been quite an open map. There's undulation in the terrain, but it's not a hill to hide behind necessarily. It's sweeping terrain rather than sudden shifts. Does factor into the army compositions. Yeah, Skirmish Force of Dark Raiders makes a lot of sense, but if Pajab brings, what are they called, Spider Rider Archers, then that might not be the most effective of choices. A Black Dragon, powerful cavalry, Corsairs, Harpies. And not often you see the Crows of Cain. Obviously is expecting Wyvern play, and he's not wrong. Definitely not looking like a good time for Azag the Slaughterer. 120 speed on them. Sure, he can outpace the Harpies, but he can't outpace the Dragon. Sorceress on a Pegasus by the looks of things. No, the Warlords boys, sorry, not the AP Loonies. Black Orcs, Goblins. It's looking like this is going to be interesting. Just the Soul Blight and the Doom Bolt with the Soul Blight and the Doom Bolt. Oh, he hasn't got Soul Blight, sorry, the second time. But he does have Word of Pain, sorry. Blade Wind, Chill Wind, and Soul Stealer. So it's Power of Darkness. Power of Darkness, when you've got a dragon on the field, can be very helpful. I mean, it's better with Hydras because they regen the damage back, but anything with a health pool of that size, very useful. Sorry, just knocked me mic there. Apologies if that came through on the stream. A nice army on the whole from PD. I am concerned there's not quite enough infantry. No, there is for it to be legal. But to actually win the battle, I think it's going to be a challenge, certainly. Ooh, a heavy Savage Orc and Giant build. Don't know how this will go against what PD's brought. It's sort of the Hellebron Eye. Probably a good choice, actually. My concerns with the infantry was it couldn't hold, primarily. So, having the Hellebron Eye, bringing that poison and big defence, probably a good choice. And he's just cut his Dark Riders. Not quite sure why he's cut his Dark Riders. He might have come to the same conclusion as me. Yeah, he has. I don't think he's wrong. Those extra dread spears will probably make a bigger difference, but now he doesn't have the cavalry superiority that he'd like, but he's fighting the orcs, so, and as we can see, but he can't, there isn't a great deal of cavalry by Pajat. It's a giant, sure, but not really something that contests the cavalry fight, a giant. Has the speed, but not the screening ability. Pajat dying off for a second. I'm not sure about this army of Pajats. There's a lot of magic in PDs between the Doomfire Warlocks and the Sorceress for a Savage Orc focused thing. In fact, the Dark Elves with magic resist, I suppose they've got a lot of AP. So if he brought Argonath Executioners, things like that, that'd be a very good pick. Or even Blackguard Greatswords. Goblins. I can see why it's brought them. But to be honest, they might just act as a battery for Murderous Prowess, rather. Just back. And he's cut his Savage Orcs and replaced them with Black Orcs. And some Savage Orcs. And he's got goblins as well. And plus with nasty skulkers. Still got the same problems as before. And it is still weak. Savage Orc Arrow, so he's actually gone for more Savage Orcs than he had before. But he also has the AP. So he's planning for both eventualities, which makes a lot of sense. But the Dark Raiders are going to be a menace for those Black Orcs if those Savage Orcs die to Sablade Wind. Oh boy, Biggins. It's looking more like his first army all the time. Both players, I suspect, going for fairly symmetrical armies here. A lot of things in pairs. BD changing something up by looks of things. He's gone back to his Dark Riders instead of his Corsairs, having reassessed, and he's ditched a Dark Raider too. I'm surprised he's done that. And brought a Master? Why has he done that? Honestly not sure what the thinking is here. I preferred it before, to be honest. I think it was a slightly stronger build until he did that. Could be on a Scourge Runner, I suppose. It wouldn't be the first time he's done that. Oh, he's changed his mind. Yeah, Dark Raiders are better. Let's have a look at Pajad's final army. Well, definitely in pairs. Should be interesting. I don't think either are exceptional nor weak armies. There's neither that I'm looking at with great fear or looking at thinking it was just a bad decision. And Svartshafen, one of the most popular 3v3 maps, but in 1v1 it can be very interesting in how you deal with the terrain and the just as the general size of it is. I'm surprised we didn't see a Reaper Bolt actually for that very reason. Even a Doom Diver with these rolling hills. And the setups are underway. Dread Spears, I'm guessing they're the left flank with the centre of Hellebranai. Could have worked either way, but I can see why he does that. The Hellebranai have the best holding power. He wants to hold his centre and use the holding to then flank with Corsairs. Makes sense. The other option, of course, is to marathon it and have the centre being weaker. Let your centre give and envelop the flanks. Doesn't look like that's been opted for here. We've got Dreadlord at the front, which I believe is something that PD mentioned having used recently and liking. A foot Dreadlord at the front to occupy the enemy, blob around them, gets you good spell casting going. Black Dragon, again, he's got breath attacks, so he's got the capability to deal with it. Dark Sorcerers, supported by the Harpies. Alright then, those are watching for the live chat. Hedge your bets. Who do you think is going to win this one? The weakness with PD's army here is there's a lot of potential for blobbing, but Pajad doesn't really have a way of dealing with it, which makes me lean towards PD in this one. Not a lot of ranged units to kill that giant though. Pajad's setup is ready. Surprised the nasty skulkers are going in the thick of it, not really using the stealth there. Of course, PD doesn't have a great deal of ways to deal with it. If a blade wind comes down on the Savage Orcs, as it might well, because of the physical resist being their method of survival, it'll cut straight through the nasty skulkers. Okay, we are go. (1-0 to Pajad in this best of 5. PD's going straight in there, I'm surprised. And Pajad not. Both of these things surprise me. I expected PD to stay relatively still while Pajad advanced. Pajad rolling the flank to deal with the cavalry. He obviously doesn't see the infantry as much of a threat. See, that would have been an opportunity that I would have liked to have seen PD take, moving his infantry around this side. A miscast from Azag means overcast Spirit Leech down on the Dark Sorceress. Dark Sorceress, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Doom Bolt in return. Azag the Slaughterer really messing up his own health by more than he's done to the Dark Sorceress. That was not a good cast. Not a trade anyone likes to see. Apart from PD, I'm sure. Bracing for impact against these ball boys. Pushing through with squig support. Just rolling those Dread Spears. The thing about these big maps is that there's no... It does become more difficult to respond to that, and a Doom Bolt about to come down. Coming from lower than I anticipated. Will it hit? No, it won't. That is a significant problem for the Dark Elves. Especially with a second Spirit Leech coming down. But it was an overcast, and it miscast as well! Azag getting himself killed by his own magic. It's death magic, alright. A Blade Wind on these Savage Orcs here could be a game changer even now, and that is a miscast. Which means overcast... No, sorry, a Soul Stealer. Healing her up, and I'm suspecting... No, I'm wrong, there's no cast in the opposite direction. It's a Soul Blight from Azag. All the cav blobbing a little bit too much for my liking here, and PD's realised and pulled the Doomfire Warlocks away. Hellebranai chunking down a Savage Orc, and another Doom Bolt coming down. Harpy's not really doing anything yet. And it's a hit! Azag the Slaughterer is struggling here. I suspect that Doom Bolt was from the Doomfire Warlocks, to be honest. Those Doomfire Warlocks really, I think, should be getting into those Savage Orcs. Harpies, I imagine, will get into the Nasty Skulkers. Corsairs flanking while being flanked. And now we start to see the Dragon play. It's going to be significant. I think the Harpies should be into the Archers, to be honest. Those Archers shouldn't be left alone this long. Dreadlord fighting the giant on the flank, completely isolated. So good job, Lords make less difference in the mod, because that Lord is going to die. Both Lords not having a good day. Azag being 2,500 gold instead of 700 though. Savage Orcs won't be liking the magic attacks here. Savage Orc... Oh, and a miscast. Soul Stealer coming down on the blob. Disappointed we haven't seen the Glorious Blade Wind yet. Don't think it's necessarily a bad choice by PD, but it doesn't look as good. And he miscast to his death. He may bring down the Dark Sorceress in the same cast though. Dark Sorceress really struggling to stay alive. 568 HP. Worn off, and she's alive. She has outlived Azag the Slaughterer, and this looks to me like a Dark Elf victory. Not a lot of orcs left. Well played, I think, by PD here. And very bold casts by Pajad, but not necessarily a good decision to do that, I don't think. It could have paid off. It could have paid off really well. It was a little bit risky. I think having a 1-game lead let him be a bit riskier, but I think he may have just lost his lead. Word of Pain really chunking down the stats on those Black Orcs. And that is a Doom Bolt coming down on the Giant with some fervence, really. And a second Doom Bolt. Another one. That Giant is not loving life. The Dark Raiders, of course, ripping into this guy. Not a lot of armour to have 100 repeater crossbows. And a bad day for that particular Hellebron Eye. Hear all the bolts bouncing from the Giant there. And yeah, I'm going to close in for some more cinematic gameplay here because this battle is over. Big win for the Dark Elves there. I think they had a lot left. Quite a decisive victory, really. Okay, PD to pick. To ban, rather. Oh, not yet. Map first. Let's do the Sword of Torgold. PD to ban. Asax miscasting. Yeah, I agree. It was hilarious. That did not go well for him. Yeah, I think if Azag hadn't have died when he did, he would still have died. But I think a lot of the Soul Stealer, keeping that Dark Caster alive. Okay, Dark Elves and Skaven banned by Pajad. PD has already banned Vampire Coast and High Elves. Skaven have been banned, which means I'm expecting PD to ban Tomb Kings. There it is. PD bans Tomb Kings. Pajad, I don't know what he'll ban. He might even ban something that he's no interest in stopping PD playing because he knows he'll play Skaven at this point. So he might just use a ban, knowing that he can't reuse a ban, and ban something he would never play, like Wood Elves. Or Dwarves. It's not like PD's going to want to play Dwarves, so if Pajad bans Dwarves here, he isn't using a ban for another faction when he knows he's going to play Skaven. While this decision is going on, I am going to go to the toilet. Okay, and I am back. Yeah, Pajam was just double checking what he'd already banned. He'll ban Wood Elves. Huh. Not a bad estimate. PD to pick. Apologies for my atrocious typing there. PD, TP is not quite what I meant to say there, but I'm sure he'll understand what's going on. Oh my god, really? Greenskins? Well, colour me surprised. He's used his Tomb King ban to play the Greenskins. Okay. It's possible that PD has been preparing for a Skaven versus Tomb King's battle. And wanted to effectively make Pajad ban a faction that's wasted. If so, that is that's definitely a well thought out play. Pajad to play Chaos. Should be interesting on Sword of Torgald. Two quite melee focused factions. Grimgor Ironhide, picked by PD, and Kolek Sun Eater, two completely monstrous melee lords. Give you a nosy at these stat lines: 900 weapon strength without Starcrusher prot and majority AP. Grimgor Ironhide 700 weapon strength, majority AP, huge stat line, less health though. But Gitsnick, Bloodforged armor, you're next, really useful, and he's got Forest Goblin, invisible frontline. They do have stock after all. Orc Spear Boys. Ooh, maybe he's expecting Dragon Ogres because that is a lot of spears. Getting that bracing. Pajad surprised by the Savage Orcs. They're not amazing against the Dark Elves. I seem to remember saying at the time I didn't think they were a great pick. The big uns had the damage output. The Savage Orcs, 43, 4 AP, because they're not using a weapon built for getting through metal. They're not amazing at it. Disappointed that the Gigantic Spiders have gone. I hope they come back, because they always make good viewing. But yeah, Soul Stealers again, something that relies on physical resist. Always going to go well for the Dark Elves, that one. Night Goblin Shaman making an appearance. Plenty of magic on him. Wouldn't be the first time I've seen Vindictive Glare make a big difference to a single entity. Some nasty Skulkers here to kill the armour. Pajad's still not really picked an army. And he's ditched in favour of a River Troll Hag. Been a lot of death magic in this tournament so far. A big psychological effect on players, death magic. Hasn't actually been that good in the majority of the games it's been used in. I mean, the last game, it got him killed and didn't kill his target, whereas the Doom Bolts did far more impact. Savage Orc Boar Boys making an appearance. The Rusty Arrows bringing the armour down. Not a lot of Daka. Marauder front lines. Spider Riders bringing the poison damage for the flanks. Orc Spear Boys ditched in favour of Gigantic Spiders. know it says trolls there, that's the unit caps. They're following the same unit caps there. And he's already ditched the gigantic spiders for a second time. But a bit more Daka. Shaggoth, no great surprise there. Shaggoth and Kolek often go hand in hand. Chosen Axeman, very similar army to what he brought last time, to be honest, but with a bit more monsters. Of course, last time he was playing the Decadent Hosts, had different options. He didn't have Trolls as an option last time. Nor obviously Kolek, given his Sigvald sub-faction. Spider Rider Archers, I think, are probably slightly better here. Double Dragon Ogre instead of a Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. Not sure how this melee fight's going to go for the Orcs. Been a lot of greenskins in this tournament, it's just dawned on me. Dragon Ogre's been ditched. Don't know what's going to replace it though. Lancers. Probably a better pick actually. Must be nearly out of cash there. The PD's leadership costing quite a lot. Bajad not bringing any magic. Cultists to give a bit of range support. Got something there. Complete reshuffle. Okay, Ragnar, it is 1-1. Third game of the final. And Savage Orcs, interesting. Surprised he picked those against Chaos, to be honest, because a lot of armour. But Pajad does consistently bring a Marauder frontline. The problem is, once you've killed it, and you've got a similar price of the Savage Orc 2 and the Chaos Marauder 3, once you've killed it, what do you do with them? That becomes the question. Yes, we've only had 2 games. The first game crashed, and so that was written off. And so we are only 2 games in. This is the third. And the Sword of Torgald. Always interesting. The houses here in the centre really cause a fair few problems, and this trench Make for some interesting decisions. Kolek Sun Eater. Front and centre. Not sure why the Chaos Marauder decided the same thing, I think. They're not really going to do much there. Move back, and for a cultist front line. Very densely packed. Imagine once PD sees that, he'll wish he still had Curse to Bad Moon as an option. PD is ready. Interesting. Coming in at a slant. Savage Orcs taking front and centre. No surprises there because they're going to be used against Marauder front line. Big and Spears. Bit of Daka. Stone Trolls. There'll be a... Interesting. Pajab moving over to this hill. I expect he's still going to try and play this defensively. You can't actually see PD's archers after all. And the cultists do give you that option to shoot a fair bit and then ditch your bows and say that isn't a loss because I've still got my chaos spawn. Grimgorn mixed into the middle of the Big and Spears. Obviously not expecting a double Hell Cannon built like there was last time. River Troll Hag moving away so that the javelins from the Marauder Horsemen can't do her a load of damage. Forest Goblin's been given the attack order. I'm not so sure the attack order should have been the way to go there, but certainly moving them to fight would be. And a miscast means I'm looking at Kolek Sun Eater for the Spirit Leech, and indeed it is. Not sure that he's necessarily what I'd Spirit Leech. I think probably the Lancers would be my priority. Certainly the thing I'd be most scared of. Kolek's can be a pain, sure, but Lancers in the back, much easier to miss than it is Kolek Sun Eater. When he comes, you're going to know. He's not going to take you by surprise, that's for sure. Chaos Lancers. They are taking a fair bit of damage from the poisons that they're receiving. And Fate of Buna. But they have killed off, more or less, a set of goblins. Oh! But that might not be a good trade. That's not a good trade at all. They'd have to kill 3 full sets of goblins to get their money's worth. If you're talking pure economy, and I don't think it's made a positional advantage either. These Chaos Lancers done a bit better, but even so, taking a pounding as they leave. The Rusty Arrows bringing that armour sundering, bringing it down. Oh no, sorry, it does mark a Slanesh on that side. Doing it, not on this side. 42 armour. The Goblin Archer's doing really well with that combination of Pajaz's Mark of Slanesh and PD's Rusty Arrows armour sundering. Grimgor Ironhide stopping that Chaos Lancer charge in its tracks. It made it to the Savage Orcs, but they had been slowed slightly by then. Chaos Lancer's not really loving life. Appears I am going to be eating my words about the Chaos Lancers being key. Not having a good day. Marauder Horsemen, on the other hand, they're really enjoying themselves. I think Pajad is dictating terms a bit here. I think PD really needs to start pushing in here while the slope is in his favour. If he manages to get this going down there now, then the fact that Pajad's killed more than he's lost will start being less of a disadvantage. They're not even going to get an attack on to give the poison. They're going to be so far dead, they never got the poison. Goblins in there can get in there and do some damage. I'm surprised PD is playing this so defensively, to be honest. Opportunity is knocking for an attack. It's one of the great things about light cavalry like this. You can keep ringing around as he is, you know, he's moving this way and that way and he'll be moving this way. That a lot of directions to keep track of where you can't brace easily. Leads your enemies to really struggle to decide what to do about it often. Grimgor Ironhide in the midst. Big Bloodforged armour here, you can push through and pick his targets. Kolek Sun Eater. There we go, Bloodforged armour. I'm not sure what that is. Probably a misclick. It's like a... oh no, it's an Assault of Stone. Just didn't want to hit his own troops. Happy to just clip the Chaos troops and hope to not kill the big guns. He did actually end up hitting the big guns. Now that's Kolek Sun Eater's lightning, I believe, yeah. I think Chaos is taking the lead here. How is... yeah, Grimgor is not liking the battle with Kolek Sun Eater. Cav really ripping the ranged. I don't think PD has been able to pick terms enough to be winning this battle. A rear hit on Grimgor Ironhide. The Kolek Sun Eater, Soul Blight going down. Bringing down a big old chunk of Kolek Sun Eater's health. The Stone Trolls stuck fighting these guys, the same ones that the Goblins are fighting. Big Uns being drawn away by Chaos Lancers that they can't catch and will just be led on a merry dance. But the Spider Riders that everyone had forgotten, including me, are in there. Poison attacks, pushing straight through, weaved straight through the cultists. Just loose formation does not let you stop cavalry at all, even Goblin cavalry. Chaos Spawn and they'll leave as soon as the archers stop being archers. Hit and run, do the job, get out of there, makes a lot of sense. Poison, I'm not sure what they're shooting at the moment. Probably Kolek. Yeah. I think one should shoot Kolek while the other shoots the Chaos Axe Warriors, to be honest. That would be more effective use of the poison DLT, because obviously it won't stack. Once you're poisoned, you're poisoned. Kolek bringing Grimgor down. It's not many 1v1s that Grimgor Ironhide doesn't like to take, but this is definitely one of them. Mither stopping it moving, your next bringing its speed down in combination to 7, but Grimgor Ironhide is dead. Not far off a second war. Needs to happen now if it's going to make any impact. Goblins not being affected by indiscriminate murder because they managed to stay separate. A little bit late to the party though, and I don't know what that is. I don't know who's casting that and what it is. Seems to have been cancelled, whoever it was. 80% extra attack for the retro and game. Not sure what happened then. I think PD may have conceded. Okay, 2-1 to Pajad. Map is Torgard. Oh wait, no, Pajataban. Update for all of you as well as Pajad here that it is a best of 5. It's 2-1 to Pajad. Ban Lizardman and Beastman. Which means Pajad will likely pick to fight the Skaven. So I would expect Tomb Kings. Okay. Interesting. And PD's already clicked Skaven. This can be an interesting one for Skaven. I do think there's a lot of ways Skaven can approach this. It's definitely one that PD enjoys the matchup of, even if it's a challenge. He's often said it's been one of the more interesting matchups. Sather, yeah. Big Bird a strong pick for this one. Plenty of clan rats coming in. Assassin. Forsaken build. Not sure the Demon Sphere are necessarily the right pick though, because the Skaven can just run rings about them all day. They've got Mark of Nurgle, for anyone who isn't aware. It slows them right down, makes them very tanky, but slows them right down. Ooh, we're going to see some bone breakers. Vast swathes of the army being there. I'll look at Pajad's army. See if it... Okay. Complete anti-traditional Skaven. If PD decides to go with a heavy summoning core or some storm vermin, Wheels of Doom are going to do wonders this game. I've no doubt about that. And the Death Vermin. There's going to be a lot of issues here. Weird Spawn. Definitely going to achieve a lot, I think, unless PD decides to bring some more range than he has. Gainers Golden Hounds, Found Transmutation, Searing Doom, Soul Blight, and Transmutation of Lead. Lots of debuff, especially AoEs. And a decent bit of killing power. Armoured Trolls. And Chaos Lancers. Surprised there's only 2 cavalry units against Skaven, but the dogs, I suppose, are a pseudo-cav unit. Not sure PD's brought enough range to beat these weird spawn here. It's going to rely heavily on the Gutter Runners and Night Runners here. And the Wheels of Doom. It's going to be difficult to outlast this army. And we're in. Now there were problems with Iridium getting back for the 3rd place playoff. Haven't been able to find out. We shall see whether it still goes ahead. It may be that he doesn't manage to get back in time. But hopefully, he will. Now, Torguard is definitely one that Pajad's done a lot of practice on. I know that much. I know because he was fighting me. PD as Skaven, very experienced, so it should be interesting. Wheels of Doom taking the high ground, definitely worthwhile. Where's Pajad's army? Over there? That's an interesting choice. The difficulty for both armies here is going to be trying to motivate the other person to... Oh, I see what's happening. Big Bird is going to be used to try and force the Skaven forwards, while the army stays behind. Not sure how that's going to work out. Certainly a frustrating tactic to deal with for PD. PD is ready. These Nightmares are going to have a nasty surprise as soon as the game starts. Pajad is ready. And for the first time, a possibility of this being the final round. It sounds like Iridium's not going to make it back for the 3rd place playoff. Warhound's really going to town on those Night Runners. Definitely a good choice of Vanguard there. It's going to suffer, but they're going to have done the necessary damage. PD's realised what's happening. You need to close the gap more than that, though. Liber bubonicus. Definitely, yeah. Going to be useful here, I believe. Hopefully the movement towards chaos isn't going to be too delayed by these warhounds. Otherwise, Big Bird's just going to have a yeah. Liber bubonicus already going down, but Gerner's Golden Helm's coming down for the death vermin. South Rail starting the charge with a miscast. Not going the way Pajad wants, I don't think. Completely, it didn't do any damage. Oh, it might do a little damage to Clan Rats, but it moved away. Ah, so it's done some damage to Clan Rats, but it cost Big Bird more than it gave. He may even have overextended just too much with Big Bird and lose it. No, he managed to get out of there. And a miscast. Searing bolts of, Searing Doom. Two similar spells mixed up there, and Seismic Snare, pinning the Everwatcher. Surprise Bonebreaker's not getting in there to get that mass. I think he's trying to avoid too many things going the way of miscasts, and there they are. The Rat Ogres in there, using the mass to stop the Big Bird. He's going to get out of there though. Speed 80. Rat Ogres also speed 80. Anything that can slow him down will make him catch it. Hasn't had much of an effect, at least as far as the balance of power is concerned. And the dog's driven off. I think they have beaten off an entire set of Eshin troops though. Something like that. Clan Rats readying, but so far skirmishing away. And the Demon Spew were ditched in the end. PD is getting circled. Very reminiscent of sharks around a boat is this. He needs to do something to dictate terms. Because at the moment Pajad is holding all the cards. PD's army, sure it's no weaker than Pajad's at this point, but Pajad's position, he's calling the shots. And that is a dangerous thing for the Skaven to let happen. Dogs hunting down the Eshin troops, which are going to be so vital. If those Eshin troops die, it might just be that there's no answer to the Wade spawn. And the Troll's coming straight through. Strong behind. Second summon of the game. We're on track for, I believe, 7. This Skaven army is going to get a whole hell of a lot bigger before it gets smaller. A lot of corruption going down to do an AoE, and that is a miscast, which means there's going to be a spell going on. Fan Transmutation upgraded. Stopping the charge of any of these units being... Oh, but it wore off as the Wheels of Doom hit. Another miscast, I don't know what the hell that is. Searing Doom really eating the way through his Winds of Magic very swiftly. Plague Monk summoned, heading at the back of the Forsaken. Yeah, it doesn't sound, from what Ragnar says, like Iridium's going to make it back, so the chance this is the final battle. Chaos Lancers coming out of nowhere though. Down from the trees, down the hill in the back of the Skaven. That is definitely not a good way of living if you're a rat. And another summon. Again, Golden Hounds on the Clan Rats, presumably. Weird Spawn and the Wheels of Doom, both very powerful 4 entity units. Again, those Golden Hounds curving much better this time than the last, but I don't believe it was overcast. It could have been difficult to tell without. From the damage, I would say that's a standard cast. Wheels of Doom, not liking the trade of the Weird Spawn. Big Bird is starting to get chunked down though. That is a Wither upgraded, bringing the Chaos Knights down to 100 armor because they've got Nurgle. the Forsaken down to 0, which is far more significant too. A Pestilent Breath through that now will be enough to swing the game, but I don't think Skrulk's near enough. And I think the distraction that the Weird Spawn are causing is too great for PD to notice how big an opportunity a V-shape like that would be round about now. There are more Skaven on the field than Chaos, but that's not a shock. Another AoE damage, Rod of Corruption going into the Chaos Lancers. Warp Grinders wavering, going to lose that control that it gives. It's a shame for PD with that, but he is pulling ahead, very slightly, but pulling ahead. Searing Doom maybe proving me wrong there. Pajad's Cav have got free and are able to chase down some of these units. If he can chase all these units down and they don't come back, then I think he's going to have the edge. Saying that, they've just rallied. Didn't manage to chase them down, and I've lost track. I don't know if anyone else noticed, let me know in the chat if you've figured out what's happened to the Eshin troops. I don't know where the Night Runners and Gut Runners went. Too much fighting going on for me to notice. Wheels of Doom really trying to do the coup de grace against Sathrael. Those Chaos Lancers really causing problems, but they've been Nurgled. Nurgled, exhausted cavalry. They're slower than Clanrats. By a decent amount. Looks like Pajad is starting to pull ahead now. Slanesh on those Cav. If Big Bird goes down to these Wheels of Doom in this charge, then the chances are that PD can bring it back. If Big Bird gets away, it's going to be difficult. Oh, he has another Plague Monk summon. I thought he'd use both. That will make a difference. That poison damage is going to make big impact on this blob fight, but Weird Spawn. Do not see a way to kill the Weird Spawn. Wheels of Doom stuck on Lancers. Nice cast. Big Bird still putting the work in on him. Honestly surprised he's got Winds of Magic left. He really has been flinging out the magic this game. Might have Arcane Conduit on him though, with it not being a lot of change. He does. Keeping the magic coming. Seismic Snare as soon as it's in the range of Warp Quake, I imagine. Seismic Snare will come down when the Cav come in. Warp Quake will be used first. But they're routed. War of Corruption going down, and it may be that Pajad takes the tournament. Some Skaven rallying. But I think Chaos have got this. Wheels of Doom losing the models. Skrulk terror routed. I think this is going to be the start of a chain rout. Oh, I say, as your warriors are rallying, pops up on the screen many times as the Skaven come back. It might be that they can know Lord Skrulk is dead, and with it, the Skaven's chances. I think the writing is on the wall. Pajad will be the winner of the first tournament. And that is looking like it's about to be the end of the first of 2 Chaos Chosen tournaments this weekend. Storm Vermin giving a last stand in the exact Skaven way of getting to the battle and running away. Well played to both players. Very close. Wheels of Doom, 188 kills. Definitely doing the work. With a Weird Spawn and Big Bird not really having a good way to stop them. And with Iridium not able to make it back, real life getting in the way, that is the end of this tournament. Well played everyone, and I will see you all tomorrow at the same time.